Muslims across Russia are celebrating the end of Ramadan, the holy month of fasting. In Moscow, morning prayers by the city's biggest mosque gathered around 55,000 faithful.
Primetime's Peter Oliver joins us to review that day. Good evening, Peter. So please tell us how exactly is the end of Ramadan celebrated here in Russia?
Well, as you said, the end was celebrated by around 55,000 people attending morning prayers here at the Central Mosque in Moscow. Now, Ramadan, interesting enough, isn't actually called Ramadan by Muslims in Russia. It's known by the name of Orza Bayram. That's due to the difference in the age of the language spoken by Muslims in Russia. And during that, prayers were said by the chief of the Council of Muftis here in Russia, and he called for Muslims around the world to be more peaceful, to be peaceful people, to be peaceful to themselves, to be peaceful elsewhere. Also called for prayers for those people suffering so much at the hands of the floods in Pakistan. So this was really a joyous celebration at the end of a month of fasting, whereby people weren't able to, Muslim people do not eat between the sunrise and the sunset. It is a mark of respect to the Prophet Muhammad, who during this month in a Muslim tradition was quoted the first verses of the Quran from Allah.
And Peter, we're far from talking about a minority here, aren't we? We're talking about millions of Muslims, and indeed the Islamic world has long been an integral part of the Russian Federation.
Well, it was something certainly I never knew until I moved to Russia, just how linked the Russian world and the Islamic world are. 6% of the nation of Russia are practicing Muslims. That's the second after Orthodox Christianity as the highest proportion of people who on census say that they are religious. And in fact, Russia, if we go back to the 8th century, came surprisingly very close, much closer than you may imagine, to actually becoming an Islamic nation themselves. Vladimir the Great, when was touting for religious scholars from around the world to come and give religion to the Rus, they became the people of Russia. He entertained scholars from the Islamic world before eventually, of course, going with the Orthodox Christians coming from Byzantium, coming from Constantinople, which of course is the major religion here in Russia. If we look down to the south of the country, in Russia's republics, also up in Tatarstan, there are very strong Muslim communities there, and in the Volga region they have one of the oldest and most uniquely linked communities between the Islamic faiths there and that of Orthodox Christianity. Centuries of cooperation in that area between those two faiths. So Islam and Russia have very, very strong historical ties.
Peter, thank you so much for that report. That is our correspondent Peter Oliver talking to us about how Russia celebrates the end of Ramadan.